What's going on, y'all? I want to show you a plugin from Denise Audio called Sub Generator. This is a plugin that allows you to add a sub bass to a source, or you can just use the sub bass that's generated, pun intended, by Sub Generator. So I'm going to show you two uses on how I've used it, two examples. But first, let's go over the controls. Starting in the upper left, you've got sidechain. Then you've got replace, which is going to replace some of the low end with sub bass. So if you're using another bass with it or another source, it kind of filters out some of that low end and replaces it with the sub bass. Solo allows you to solo just the sub bass, and adapt allows the sub generator to adapt to the source that it's playing. And this will make sense once I go through the examples. Below here, we've got drive, which is going to add some saturation. Mono, anything we set this to, say 100, anything below that will be mono. Dance, so this is a low frequency modulation. I'll show you an example of that as well. Input and output. So I'll set this back to 0. At first glance, you'll feel like you can't use this because it's grayed out, but you can absolutely click and adjust the input and output here. Mix, that's your wet dry. You've got a high pass filter, low pass filter. Rise, this is going to be the attack of the source. And then you've got frequency, and fall is the decay of the sub bass. And in the middle, you'll see like a spectrum meter here analyzing the sound that's coming through. If you're familiar with Denise Audio plugins, this is generally the same UI, clean UI, easy to use, a UI that you get on all of their plugins. All right, let's get into this first example here. So I will just bypass this for a second. I've got Sub Generator on the kick drum on this track, and this is what it sounds like now. And this is what it sounds like with Sub Generator. All right, we'll solo the kick and just take a closer look at it. So you can see it's putting that sub bass along with the kick here. So if we went into solo and just hit solo, now we'll hear just the sub bass. So it's still reacting to the kick, but it's giving me just the sub bass. Now the adapt, if I flip the adapt, we get just the sub bass. It's ignoring the kick drum at this point, and it's just going to play a straight sub bass tone here. Okay, and I should have said this earlier, but because we're dealing with sub bass and really low frequencies, make sure you're listening to this on headphones or your speakers. It's not going to really come through if you're listening on your cell phone or laptop speakers. But moving on, this drive's adding saturations. Take a quick listen to that. And the dance is the low frequency modulation. So we'll turn on the adapt and then I'll turn up the dance here. Gives you that modulated effect. And well, frequency, you can adjust the frequency here. So this is one change I would like to see in this plugin, is that you can really use this to tune to your song by selecting the frequency that matches your song. I wish that when you adjusted this frequency here, you could see what musical note that frequency represents. And to do that, I generally go to the waves REQ, because you can see as I sweep this along, it shows me what frequency is that note. So I know that this song is, I forgot what key it was, but it is 44 hertz. So let's go back. Let's see, 44 hertz is F. Okay, so F1. So to tune that to this song, I've set it to 44 hertz. And I want to point out that you can also automate this. So on this loop here, I've automated it. And let's take off the loop and we'll play that here. And I'm going from 44 hertz up an octave to 88 hertz. And then I think I go down to like 66. And that's what this sounds like with it automated. Okay, let's move on to another example. In this example, I'm using sub generator on this bass line. So this is without sub generator. And this is with sub generator. And this is with the bass soloed. I'll bring sub generator in and out. My final thoughts on sub generator. Like all Denise Audio plugins, this is easy to use. You can quickly get a good sound with it. Compared to other plugins that do similar things, Denise Audio has extended functionality on it, but still remained to keep it basic. Other plugins like this, I don't see high pass and low pass filter on it. I don't see attack and decay on it as well. Yeah, mix, frequency, maybe drive is, things we'd get on what I would call standard of similar plugins. But even like the dance feature and certainly the replace feature, I've not seen that on anything like this. So this while it is basic and easy to use, it is also very unique, and I really like that. I'm going to continue to use this in my productions, as you can see, for bass, kick drums too, any low frequency. I really haven't messed with it on maybe some mid-range sounds, adding some sub bass to a mid-range sound, but definitely doable with this plugin. The only thing I would change is, like I said, the frequency. I would like to see the musical value notes. That would really help for quickly being able to tune this to your track. I've got a link in the description if you want to check this out. Any questions, comments, let me know, and I'll catch y'all next time. I want to invite you to check out my podcast, the Faders Up Podcast, where we discuss pro audio and beyond. We discuss everything from recording to gear to the music business. So if you're an audio engineer, songwriter, recording artist, music producer, this podcast is for you. We recently started season 2, and we're going to have a lot of listener questions on this season, as well as some really cool guests that's lined up and giveaways as well. So if you've already subscribed and followed the podcast, thank you. If you haven't, it's available on all platforms, and I encourage you to check it out. Also, rate it and review it and let us know what you think.